So I'd like to welcome everyone here. My name is Robert Rittenauer, Town Administrator for the town of Yarmouth. Now, I know we're down at the beach here, but I just want to make sure everyone knows you're not lost. This is the Wastewater Groundbreaking ceremony for the town of Yarmouth, but as you can see, it's getting to be springtime, and that's just how we roll down here in Yarmouth. We're in the 664 now. So it's beach time, and we're going to be on the beach all the way up until September. Actually, everyone does know this is the site, as we see across the street, of one of the critical pump stations that serves as the life sort of blood of the wastewater project along one of the main thoroughfares. This section of town that includes some of the larger resort areas along with Route 28, you can see it lined out, is our phase one of the project, and so it's very appropriate that we're down here. Plus, I don't think I've seen this parking lot this full since last July, so it's great to see that too. I think we've all got a little spring fever down here, but honestly, this is a huge day for Yarmouth, and we're all delighted to be here. We're delighted to have you folks here. This is a great turnout that we have, and I'll tell you something. There are so many folks that we need to recognize. It's going to be impossible. We're going to try to get to everyone. This project has been the true definition of a community effort. All of the folks, I see Kurt Sears here, former member of the Board of Selectmen, many years chairman of the RAC, Wastewater Resources Advisory Committee. Thank you for all of your support efforts, Kurt, everyone. So we're going to try to recognize folks. We're going to leave out a ton, but every single person in this town really has a stake in this project, and it's been a very successful event so far. And I just want to kind of take you back a little bit from my standpoint. I looked at the financing for this project maybe 3.5 years ago, and I remember we had a spreadsheet that was prepared by our finance director, Ed Centeo. I don't know if Ed's here today. And also our former assistant town accountant, Rich Bienvenu, another great name on Cape Cod. Now, these are two public officials that, as a community, we owe a true debt of gratitude. We've had such strong financial leadership in recent years in this town, and these are the folks that were the initial architects of the financing for this phase one of the wastewater. And so 3.5 years ago, I remember seeing this spreadsheet. Now, it was at a very high level. It's not too much detail. It was a conceptual plan, but the thing that struck me, I remember seeing 12 or 13 individual columns, each representing its own financing source for this project. Now, this is when most towns that do wastewater have two columns. We're going to put this from the property tax, and we're going to put this from the betterments. This plan was highly sophisticated, even at its conceptual level. It was very complicated, but very well thought out. And I remember thinking at that time, hey, this just might work. So right around that point is when our resident genius, Assistant Town Administrator Bill Scott, are you here, Bill? Give us a wave. Bill Scott and I really sank our teeth into this project and trying to make it happen. And Bill says to me, you know what would make this project stronger? A district improvement financing mechanism. And that's where we capture all of the new growth in the zone that this infrastructure is being added to, because it's going to add so much value. And that this new growth created by the infrastructure in turn pays for the debt to finance this infrastructure. This was a process that was unheard of on Cape Cod. In fact, Bill will attest to this. Everybody thought he was crazy. You'll never pull this off. It's too complicated. The people won't like it. We can't do it. And I'll tell you something today, that DIF program is the cement that binds all of the bricks of this project together. You like that, Jeff? I said bricks. He's my Jeff Colby, our infrastructure guy. He's really good with bricks and mortar. As a result of that, phase one, no general tax increase. Bill Scott, this bud's for you. So thank you very much. And that's just a couple of people that throughout the community have had a role in this project. Now, I just want to say Yarmouth is clearly a town that's on the move. Whether it's from our partnerships that we've forged with the business community, now the regional school district, to enhanced infrastructure in our town, more recreational amenities and programs than we've ever seen, new parks, open space, and our improvements in local services across the board. We have a renewed sense of purpose here in town and a vitality that drives all of our efforts. Now, I want to tell you that energy and sense of purpose comes right from the top through our elected leadership on the town's select board. That's where the energy in this town is coming, by setting specific priorities and gently pushing all of us forward to achieve things we never thought we could achieve. This board today in Yarmouth is leading the way to a fantastic period in our town's history, and one I'm proud to be a part of. Leading this effort, I'm very proud to introduce you right now to the chairman of our select board, Mike Stone, and I want to turn it over to Mike.
Good morning, welcome. Thank you everyone for coming. I'd first like to express how honored and privileged I am to be a part of this ceremony today and speak on behalf of my colleagues on the board, some of whom are here. We have Selectman Mark Forrest, who's also a county commissioner, who has political tentacles that extend everywhere, and was able to bring a lot of legislative support to this project. We have Peter Q. Smith, who's out there somewhere, I understand. He's raised his hand. The man in the orange. And I don't know if Dorcas McGurran was here, but she was supposed to be able to be here. And our other member is Dan Horgan, who is absent. I am not going to try to recognize everybody involved in this project because I know what will happen. I will leave people out. So we're going to do that gradually from speaker to speaker. And Jeff will be introducing Jeff Colby, our DPW director, will be introducing a lot of the people that were involved in the engineering and design and in the technical fields. But I'm pleased to say today that we have representation from our federal delegation, from Senator Warren's office. We have Congressman Bill Keating here in the flesh today. We have our state senator, Julian Sear. We have our state representatives, Kip Diggs and Chris Flanagan. And we're really delighted and honored that they were able to come today. Before I begin my remarks per se, I have some preliminary remarks that I'd like to make, and I'll tell you where the cutoff point is. I'd like to say a few words about someone who has played an important role in this project and whose many and important valuable contributions to its emergence from concept to reality might go unrecognized because of his chronic selflessness. This individual is always quick to recognize, support, endorse, and praise the contributions of others, and is very comfortable living in the shadows for the collective success of the team. And the person of whom I speak, of course, is our very talented town administrator, Bob Rittenauer. Although Bob came to our town some years after this wastewater project we celebrate here today was moving along in its planning stages, he did much to move it over the finish line. He worked tirelessly to arrange, coordinate, and facilitate public outreach sessions to educate the public about all aspects of the project and to garner public support for its passage at town meeting. He worked with our finance team to develop a sound and equitable plan to finance a project of this magnitude so as to ensure its feasibility for our residential taxpayers when it comes time for them to hook into our wastewater system. He is a high energy professional with relentless focus, and we are happy he came to Yarmouth at just the right time to help us turn a vision for our community into an inspiring reality going forward. I am truly honored to have been able to have worked with him and all the people he brought together on this project. Let us show our appreciation for Bob Rittenauer. Now that we forced Bob to step out of the shadows for a minute, these are my remarks. I am truly excited to be with you here this morning. This has been a long time in coming. The efforts to lead us to this groundbreaking today were started even before I became a member of the Select Board here in Yarmouth 11 years ago. And the impacts of our efforts will resonate positively for our town far into the future from one generation to the next. It is not very often in our careers as public servants that we can say that a moment in time is uniquely historic, but this is one of those moments. The actions we are taking today to improve and protect and preserve the environmental quality of our coastal embayments hits at the heart of our core values in our beautiful coastal community. You see, this project not only preserves the environment that links to our heritage and culture here on Cape Cod, it also allows our town an opportunity to thrive by serving as a key to efforts to solve our local housing problems by way of providing the necessary infrastructure to support housing development. It also removes critical obstacles to private investment that holds back our small business community, and it allows current and future generations to enjoy the same quality of life that has drawn us to this community that we all love and call home. This $270 million investment in our future is but phase one of an 8-phase, 40-year program to ensure clean water in all three of our major watersheds, Bass River, Parkers River, and Lewis Bay. For those federal, state, and local officials gathered here today, we are extremely appreciative of your partnership and support that has allowed us to move forward with this critical environmental measure. But then again, we've only just begun. We will need your continued support and partnership to complete the next phase of this program in a timely way, and you can be certain we'll be there to ask you for your help. We're confident that you will be there for us. To our regional partners, especially our colleagues in the towns of Dennis and Barnstable, we are fully aware that these watersheds don't respect our town boundaries. It will be up to us to work closely together to make efficient progress through our shared watersheds. We strongly believe that our local leadership on launching this phase of our wastewater project as soon as possible will help make Yarmouth a stronger regional partner as we move forward. And we will look forward to and embrace future regional projects to help us all achieve our common vision to restore our environment to a clean, vibrant, healthy, and thriving state for ourselves, our children, their children, and generations yet to come. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mass DEP Deputy Commissioner Gary Moran to help underscore the importance of this project for our region. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and thanks everyone for being here this morning. I think I pretty much could just say what he said. I think he did a great job of wrapping up not only the environmental value of this project, but the importance of it to future growth, housing, the way of life on the Cape. But I do want to say it really is a pleasure to be here today on behalf of Mass DEP and really the Haley Driscoll administration to mark this significant milestone. This is really exciting. This is great news. Today's event is really a concrete demonstration. Jeff, concrete. It's a reflection of the town of Yarmouth and Yarmouth's residents' commitment to taking on one of the most significant and really daunting environmental challenges facing Cape Cod, which is the degradation of some of the Cape's critically valuable water resources due to excessive pollution, primarily nitrogen from septic systems. And everyone's familiar with the problems now. The nitrogen causes algae, weed growth, forces out finfish, shellfish species, results in coastal water bodies that just basically look bad, smell bad, fail to meet water quality standards. And in addition to the environmental problems, the water quality issue problems can also result in a decline in tourism, fishing, recreational opportunities, even residential property values. And ultimately, they really impact the character of Cape Cod and the quality of life for its residents and its visitors. The problems were created over a long period of time, and it's going to take a long period of time to address them. But taking action now, like the town is doing, is just so critically important to finally protecting and restoring the Cape's water resources. I really want to thank the Yarmouth residents for supporting the significant investments involved in modernizing the town's wastewater system. Bob mentioned some of the financing, I don't want to say schemes, but creative plans the town has put into place. I also should just mention over the years have had tremendous support from your elected officials and stakeholders in developing other mechanisms. Originally, the zero interest loan program from the state revolving fund, which results in real significant savings over the life of the project. More recently, principal forgiveness, further writing down the cost of the project that has, again, most recently been supported by the bill funding that Congress passed, and obviously the establishment of the Cape and Island Water Quality Protection Fund, which is really a huge boost to moving these projects forward. So I really want to thank all of the state, local officials who have worked so hard to get us to this point. We fully recognize how challenging it is, not only to design and implement these solutions, but really all the work that goes into working with residents and stakeholders to build the necessary support for these investments. It's great, important to celebrate milestones like this, to really mark the progress that's being made. And they do also serve as an opportunity to recognize the daily, ongoing work and impressive efforts of the town, its leaders, the professionals in town, as well as the town's consultants to making this wastewater solution a reality. These undertakings always can present challenges, technical, logistical, financial issues, and this project is certainly no exception. In fact, it's revealed some implementation issues that we'll be dealing with across the Cape. But I really want to thank the individuals here, many of whom are here today, here in this town, for their continued work on this, their commitment, effort, and persistence. I'm pleased that Mass DEP is working closely with these folks to move the project forward, and we can personally attest to the great work and the tremendous effort they continue to put into this project. We remain committed to working with the town and towns across the Cape as they move forward with implementing such important efforts to protect the Cape's water quality and really the way of life. And again, thank you and congratulations, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce and welcome Bill Keating, our United States representative of the 9th Massachusetts District. Bill, welcome.
Well, as I look out here in the crowd, I know that the people here just didn't decide to wake up one morning and go out in the parking lot in March and enjoy this unseasonably good weather, by the way. As I look out here, I know that almost all of you were a part of this in one way or another, either in support, getting this involved, and you wouldn't be here otherwise. So I want to thank you, as well as obviously the people that are up here and the people that preceded them, because it is a multi-year project to get where we are right now. This morning, I got in from Washington last night, and so I didn't get to talk to my wife too much. And this morning she got up and she said, "Now, where are you going this morning?" She often accompanies me to many of the events and enjoys that a great deal. And I said, "Well, we're celebrating, have a big celebration in Yarmouth. And she said, what's it about? I said, well, it's about 15 miles of sewerage and 5 pumping stations. And she said, well, you don't mind if I don't go to that one, do you? Because she said she enjoys all, so many of the other things, because we're often at events where we're kicking off new housing with this federal money. We're at events where we're celebrating some fishing and protecting the environment and our wastewater issues and the growing of our natural species. We're at events where we're dealing with healthcare issues or we're new businesses, cutting ribbons and doing those things. And I told her, I said, this event this morning is all of those things and more, because without what we're doing here, we wouldn't have new housing in Yarmouth. We wouldn't have a better environment. We wouldn't have the clean water. We wouldn't have new businesses being here. So this is all those things into one, and that's what we're here for. It's that important. And I must say, with the town officials starting at that level, a major city would look at the complexity of what was put together here, not just the logistics of doing it, but the financing of doing it, and they'd say, this is too big an undertaking to even consider. But a town did that, and a town had that hope and desire, and they worked through all the complications that are there, all the difficulties of coordinating things, and they did it. And they did it with a tremendous partnership. You've got a great state legislative delegation I'm proud to work with Chris and with Kip. And Julian in particular was the author of legislation that helped one of the funding mechanisms here, which he'll address himself. So it was a team effort at that way. The county is here in many capacities. Mark has both those hats that they wear. And the town officials that when you're trying to convey an expensive project like this to everyone else and to sell it is no easy effort at all. Although when you look at the byproduct, this is a tremendous savings and investment for so many people in this community. But it's more than that too, because we know the problem in Cape Cod. We know the difficulty we have here. We know the legal suits. We know the difficulty. We know how we're going to be hamstrung in the future if we don't address some of these issues. And the complexity of those issues has been something that stymied people here for decades. This is a model that will show how you can get that done. The benefit of this to the whole region far exceeds the benefit to Yarmouth. This will be a linchpin that we can go forward. This will be an incentive for other communities in other areas of the Cape to say we can address these issues as complicated as they are. And that's so significant too. So I just want to thank everyone for doing everything they could to make this day possible. This is really an important day in Cape Cod's future. I work with people, and as I meet new members of Congress, they say, well, where do you live? And I say, well, I live in Cape Cod. And they say, wow, how lucky are you? And we are. And we enjoy it. But we do more than live here. I know that everyone here knows this, but we're just not people who inhabit Cape Cod. We're stewards of this precious, beautiful land and waterways. And we have that responsibility. So in closing, I just want to say the people that also benefit so much are the people that aren't here yet. There are children and grandchildren, because if we didn't address these issues now in a substantive way that this project really is an exemplary example of, then it would never be done. And what we would leave the people behind us in this beautiful area would be something of a problem instead of a benefit to enjoy. So it's definitely a day, an important day of celebration and accomplishment, and I just want to thank everyone that was a part of it. In the federal government, I must tell you, I've been the biggest proponent of the revolving fund that puts federal money into the state, and that's a main ingredient of this. But when people look at what was done just a couple of years ago, and Congress was a different Congress then, but if you look at what we did working together a couple of years ago, we put together $50 billion alone. $50 billion just on improving water quality as part of the bipartisan infrastructure bill that occurred. And it's not only there to help the bridges, which it is, but it's there for projects like this as well. And there's so many other projects to come. So I'll tell you, as we celebrate today, the best is yet to come for our region. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. Inspirational words. Now, Caleb White was going to be here with some remarks on behalf of Senator Warren, who is busy in Washington today. But I think that Caleb had a medical appointment that he had to meet. I don't think there's anyone from Senator Warren's office with us, but they have sent the greetings and congratulations from the town, and that is another office that is working very closely, whether it's the efforts to bolster the state revolving loan program with federal funds to ensure that we have the resources, or to work with us directly on grants that we need to move forward the rest of these projects. The senator's efforts are heralded and very much appreciated. We have here with us Mark Lanigan, regional officer from Senator Edward Markey's office, and I'd like to welcome Mark and have him come up and say hi.
Thanks so much, Bob. Yeah, my name is Mark Lanigan. I'm regional assistant in the office of Senator Ed Markey. Senator couldn't be here today. You wish he could have been, but he's very, very excited about this project, and I'm just carrying his gratitude for all the hands that worked on this project, from our congressional partners with Congressman Keating, Senator Warren, the incredible state delegation, town leaders, residents, everybody who's carried this forward. Just incredibly grateful. I also carry a statement from the senator, which is better than the words that I can say. He's much more eloquent than I am. So the senator says that he's proud to support the leaders and residents of Yarmouth as you break ground on this historic wastewater management project. I applaud your efforts to connect thousands of homes and businesses to sewer and construct a new water treatment facility. This will protect water quality, coastal ecosystems, and public health, as well as residences and businesses, helping them save money over the long term through the development of a reliable and sustainable water system. As we work collectively to battle the impacts of water pollution and the climate crisis, a centralized wastewater management system will help us in that fight. I know you have many phases ahead of you, but today is a momentous first step. And with historic levels of funding for, as I guess we've heard a few times now, the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, and my ongoing support for federal clean water programs, I pledge to keep working in Congress to support water quality throughout Massachusetts. So thank you so much to Town Administrator Robert Reitenauer, town leaders and residents who are spearheading this charge. Really appreciative of everything. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. As I mentioned earlier, this is my first event with the office on a beach, but not but not my last. I'm going to be back for phase 2, so I'm very excited for that. So thank you all. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mark. It's great to have you here. He reminds me that I was young before, and it's awesome. It's great to have you here. Listen, we want to get Senator Sear up here, but I just need to say that this is real important for us, and we're so thankful for you to be here. Senator Sear's efforts in the legislature to author the legislation that enabled this community to take advantage of the short-term rental tax, and even more importantly, the Cape Cod Water Protection Trust, which is an additional 2.75% add-on to the short-term rental tax. Without those generational reforms in our resort areas to recognize the intense costs associated with the thousands and thousands of visitors we have each year, we would not be in a position to be doing this project. Those short-term rental funds have been a keystone to all of our financial planning efforts to meet the infrastructure needs that we have. And I just can't overstate how important that is. So with that, I welcome and recognize Senator Sear. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Before I start, actually, there's a number of open seats here, and we do have a few more politicians to go, and then community members who we really want to speak from. So I know we see a lot of people standing on this pavement, but feel free to fill in these seats because there's a ways to go. But good morning. I'm Julian Sear. I am so excited to be here this morning. Bill Telvis, I'm very excited about miles of sewer pipe, pump stations. This is something that we have been working on for so long, and I've been telling a story recently about a friend of mine in Harwich who serves on the Water and Sewer Commission there, and found a letter that the federal government had sent the town of Harwich, and I think the town of Yarmouth got a similar letter in the 80s to, Chris, you're too good. Chris Flanagan, who is your exceptional state representative, we're going to hear from in a minute. But towns across the Cape got a letter in the early 80s from the federal government saying, hey, look, we will pay for 90% of your sewers. And our predecessors decided that was not the way to go. I think there was concern about how that would lead to overdevelopment or sort of would impair Cape Cod's character. And so the course we did take, which was a development scheme based on Title V septic systems, has turned out to be an ecological and financial disaster. Pre-pandemic, we had a $4 billion wastewater problem. Now it's probably closer to $5 or maybe $6 billion that all of us and all of you as taxpayers are on the hook to fix. And look, if we had to just create wastewater infrastructure for those of us who make a life here year round, well, this would be a much more manageable and cheaper feat. But we have to have sewer capacity and flow to handle July 4th weekend, those busiest days and weeks, and July and August. And so this was really an issue and a matter that, frankly, our predecessors, you and me, kicked the can down the road. And thanks to the voters here in Yarmouth and the leadership of your board and your town and town staff, really, we're turning the page on that. And that is something I'm so excited about, because the lifeblood of who we are as Cape Codders is stewardship of this fragile, gorgeous, although deeply environmentally impaired marine environment we have, right? And we're asking people, and we're telling people, come to Yarmouth, come to Cape Cod, swim in our gorgeous beaches, recreate in this marine environment. And yet the reality is 90% of all of our embayments and estuaries, including every single one here in Yarmouth, is impaired. So what we're doing today is hugely consequential for our environment. And it's also hugely consequential for the other big, thorny, existential crisis for us here on Cape Cod, which is housing. And for Cape Codders like me and of my generation, if you're not lucky to own a home here, and I'm a renter, the ability to actually afford a life here in Yarmouth, afford a life certainly in my neck of the woods, in Truro and Provincetown, is increasingly forestalled. And so what sewering allows us to do is to build and preserve the year-round housing that we're going to have to undertake to ensure that this is a year-round, vibrant community for generations to come. And we've got a real steep hill on this. I slept in Boston last night because we had session and caucus, and I drove down this morning, and the amount of traffic coming on the Cape, it's emblematic of the fact that, nearly 50% of our workforce is living off Cape and commuting here. So this project is also enabling that. So there's so many people to thank here. And I really want to extend, first and foremost, my thanks to the taxpayers of Yarmouth who took a really hard, steep, expensive vote last spring to realize this. I want to thank Bob and his entire team. Bob, you and I, this is not our first rodeo. We worked together in Oak Bluffs on Martha's Vineyard when he was the town administrator there. And your whole team, the assistant town administrator, making this happen, the leadership of the board. Congressman, I think the fact that Congressman Keating is here speaks to your commitment to bringing home the bacon for Cape Cod. So $1 billion of that bipartisan infrastructure bill that they passed last session when Congress, under Democratic leadership, was doing things, of that, $1 billion of wastewater money came back to Massachusetts. That's money that Gary and his team are putting to work. That's money that's coming here to Yarmouth. By the way, a little plug, the congressman just got $350 million to replace the Sagamore Bridge, paired with another $650 million we got in a grant. We're $1 billion towards the $2 billion cost. I really want to thank Gary here, and the Healy Driscoll administration has been so hands-on wastewater funding. I had a lunch with Lieutenant Governor just the other week, and we spent about like 30 minutes talking about Cape wastewater funding and infrastructure. I can announce this morning that the stability of the Cape and Islands Water Protection Fund is stronger than it's ever been. We've reached an agreement with the state and with the board to change the financing mechanism for this fund. So this fund is going to be able to provide a 25% subsidy to wastewater projects going forward in the future. That's right. A quarter of the cost of this project is paid in other people's money that they have paid when they come to Cape Cod, not your money, other people's money, when they stay in our hotels, our motels, our Airbnbs, our short-term rentals. A quarter of the cost. Right off the top. And that is thanks to the Cape and Islands Water Protection Fund. This is very much my baby and Sarah Peak's baby and Tim Whalen's baby. Tim was an amazing partner to me when he represented this town in getting the Cape and Islands water protection established in 2018. This has been a game changer for the region. It's probably arguably the biggest thing I'll ever do, however long I hold this seat. And so I'm just so thrilled and delighted to see these dollars at work. To date, $82 million in other people's money has come to Cape Cod to help pay for our wastewater problem. And guess what? It really makes sense because the cost of the problem is because of other people. Granted, we're recruiting them and hoping they come here. But that's really driving through the cost here today. So this is just, I'm very, very excited about this. I'm very hopeful. I'm very grateful for Yarmouth and the voters of Yarmouth for tackling what is a very, very tough, expensive issue. You're a model. I'm hoping other towns are looking to you folks and following suit. And I also am going to recognize, I'm going to turn it over to my brothers in representing this town. Representative Kip Diggs has been a terrific partner from day one since he's been elected. You're going to hear from Kip shortly, but I'm first going to turn this over to Chris Flanagan, who is serving in his first term as representative for Yarmouth and Dennis and Brewster, but you wouldn't know it. He has hit the ground running. I believe he's actually successfully recovered from I think he had a stomach bug. He has twins at home and a young daughter, and he still somehow is able to do this job. But Chris is just a tremendous asset and a resource for all of us here, and I'm going to turn it over to Chris. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, Senator Sear is always a tough act to follow, so I'll just say ditto to everything that he just said. But also, I had no idea that the town of Yarmouth has a direct line into God, because the fact that we're out here near the beach in March with beautiful weather is no short miracle. Neither is this groundbreaking, right? This has been decades in the making for Yarmouth to get to this point. It has been a marathon, not a sprint. And I have to tell you, and Senator Sear did a great job of recognizing the town of Yarmouth, but particularly the voters, for helping to initiate this project, right? And because of your action that you've taken, it's taken years and years and years of really strong leadership from the Yarmouth Select Board, from municipal staff, to get us to this point. But we really wouldn't be here without the investment of the good people of the town of Yarmouth. In addition to that, if you look around at this environment, right, where we are right now in this moment, I'm not talking about the parking lot, I'm not talking about the busy street behind me, but really the beach, right? We're pursuing wastewater infrastructure to protect our ocean, our waterways, to protect our environment, and also economic development, right, to promote economic development here in Yarmouth, and certainly housing development, which is critical. All of those things are critical to Cape Cod and to Yarmouth. The last thing that I'll say is that the fact that Congressman Keating is here, the fact that Gary Moran is here from Mass DEP really shows that we have strong partners, that the town of Yarmouth has strong partners here at the federal level, the state level, certainly with my brothers in service, with Senator Sear, myself, and Representative Diggs. It takes a village, as we know, but the fact that they're here today shows their commitment. The fact that the federal government has committed funds to the SRF, the fact that the DEP has been having regular meetings with the town of Yarmouth to make sure that things run on time is really critical and really noteworthy, that that the federal government, that the state government, that all of us are taking this project very seriously. But none of this would be possible without your support. And really just want to say, keep on supporting it, because we're into another marathon, right? This is the groundbreaking of a very long project. And so we're very grateful for the support that the town of Yarmouth has given us so far, and really ask that you continue your support throughout this entire project. So thank you very much. And now it is my honor to recognize my fellow House colleague, State Representative Kip Diggs, who also represents Yarmouth. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to be here with you all. This is teamwork. This is all about teamwork. But it's not just teamwork up here. It's teamwork over here. Because honestly, we're nothing without you. You're our bosses, and you're telling us what we want to get done. And this environment is so important. And I've lived on Cape Cod all my life. Of course, I'm from Osterville, but my beach is a few minutes down the street. And we got to make sure that we protect our beaches. And we got to make sure that we protect every family member that lives here, or our children that want to live here in 20 years from now. So we got to make sure that we protect what we have. So doing this, having this project is so important and so relevant right now. And it should have been done in the 70s when we could have had it done, but the buck stops here. We're getting it done. So thank you for the teamwork. Robert Nauer, I'm cutting it short because honestly, there's so much more to go. And even though it is a beautiful day, I'm a little chilly. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce another one of the chief architects of the wastewater project here in Yarmouth, also representing the county commissioners as well as the select board. I'd like to welcome up Mark Forrest.
Thank you, Bob. And thank you all for being here today. It's great to see such a wonderful turnout. What I would like to do is, first of all, we all know that this project is incredibly important to the people of Yarmouth, and I would just like to take this moment to thank my colleagues on the Board of the Selectmen, both the selectmen that are here today, but also the ones that have served in the past few years. As a board, we made this a priority. I ran for selectman to make this a priority, and the reality is it's happened. A lot of people thought we would not get to this day, but we made it. And as others have said, we've got a lot of work to do. Wearing my county hat, I just want to thank folks at the county. Barnstable County has played an important role in terms of helping move this project along. I see Paul Niedzwiecki here from the chamber. Paul was a very active player when he was working with the county as the director of the Cape Cod Commission. And the Cape Cod Commission really helped us, and under Paul's leadership, really helped us put wastewater sort of on the map and bring us all together as a region to articulate a fairly compelling need. And that has been translated into all sorts of other good things that have happened. So, Paul, thank you for all of your support and all the work that you've done. For the other folks here from the county, thank you. So there's my brief kudos to everybody that's helped. So thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much, Mark. And as Mark indicates too, this really has been a grassroots community project, whether it's the support of the individual taxpayers, voters, neighborhood associations. It really has been tremendous to see Yarmouth come out for this. And I want to recognize and have come up to speak some of the local people that worked on this project and spread the word throughout the community. And I don't think that there has been a more important grassroots organization than the Yarmouth Wastewater Resources Advisory Committee. I recognize Spiro Metrokostas, the current chairman, is out here today. And I mentioned Kurt Sears, who spent many, many years, in addition to this project, really overseeing all of the capital investments that the town has made. And today I want to recognize Lee Rowley to say a few words on behalf of what we love to call the RAC. And come on up, Lee.
Thank you, Bob. I probably wouldn't be here today if it weren't for for the pushing and the nudging of Mark Forrest. I first met Mark when we moved here about 8 years ago, and I actually worked on his campaign to get him into on the commission and also the Board of Selectmen. And I did appreciate the fact that he was able to push me into this position. Um, the RAC, as we call it, the Water Resources Recovery, Water Resources Advisory Committee, is set up to advise the Board of Selectmen in a way to formulate how we can move forward and save our environment and do it in a very economic way. Very important. The embayments, of course, are have been significantly affected over the years, and not only the embayments, but our water supply system comes from groundwater, and the groundwater is being also affected by our discharges to the system. So when we build this system, we're going to be preserving the marine environment, but we're also going to be preserving our lakes, ponds, and our water supply system. Very, very vital and important to this project. Just a little history. The Water Resources Advisory Committee, known as RAC, was formed in October of 2018. We had our first meeting October 9th. And from there, we formulated an idea that we would do it on a regional basis. The legislature set up some mechanisms for us to do the regional basis to make it cheaper for us, to make it probably more acceptable. However, after a couple years of struggling with trying to develop a regional system with Dennis and Harwich, those two towns opted out of the regional system, and it left Yarmouth by itself. So we took up the mantle and said, okay, we're going to do it by ourselves. But we also have to do it in concert with our partners, both from Barnstable and from Dennis and from Harwich, to make sure that our embayment areas are protected. It's going to take a lot of years, probably last longer than some of us here. But I just wanted to let people know that there's a tremendous amount of volunteerism. And what we did was we developed an education program to bring about the neighbors, bring about the people of Yarmouth to understand how important it was. So we developed an education program, and we went around and we put on some dog and pony programs to give them the education as to why this is so important. And not only from an environmental point of view, but it was pointed out by other speakers that from an economic point of view, coming up with a way not to put all this onto the tax rolls and force everybody maybe who won't benefit as much, but by coming up with alternatives that cover the cost and reduce the burden on the community financially. And I just wanted to recognize a few people. The committee was made up of representatives from a number of town committees. We're talking about planning, health, wetlands, finance, ZBA, and most importantly, I think, the Board of Selectmen worked very hard in listening to what we had to say and going along with a lot of our recommendations. Also, DPW and some of the other agencies involved, like the Board of Selectmen, the town administrator. We couldn't have done this without the town administrators. They really came through with us, through for us on the financial aspects of this thing and coordinating the entire program. Also, I want to recognize Rick Bishop from our Bass River Preservation Group. They've been working very hard to work between both Dennis and Yarmouth on the Bass River project as well. I guess in conclusion, I would just say that like Chris Flanagan says, it takes a village. It did take a lot of people. I can't even imagine how many people have been involved, but the townspeople in supporting this, all the town staff, especially from planning and finance, really worked hard to help support what we were planning to do. And providing the representatives and the volunteers on the committee really made it a tremendous effort. And I'm very appreciative of all that has come about here. Again, it's a historic moment and really the beginning of something really great for the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee, and thanks to all of our local residents that participate on these committees that make the projects happen. It's really how it works in our town, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And we also referenced earlier our growing partnerships with the local business community, but what hasn't been said is that it's the Yarmouth business community that is responsible for having the piece to move this project forward. And we're very hopeful that this project and this infrastructure will remove some of the barriers that are in place for small business expansion that we depend on in our community. And it's extraordinarily important to us. And we've just grown so much with our relationship with the business community. And I'd like to recognize Holly Hanrahan, who is the chair of the Yarmouth Chamber of Commerce, and ask her to come up and make a few comments. Thanks, Holly.
Thank you. Good morning. Glad the sun came out. It's getting a little cold over there. The Yarmouth Chamber of Commerce has partnered and worked very closely with the town on this historic project. We know that it will have a tremendous and positive impact on our community and spark reinvestment to our current businesses and, of course, new growth in Yarmouth. We look forward to supporting and continuing to get excited and be a strong advocate for this important project. Congratulations to all of Yarmouth for making the decision and to improve the environment that is our economy here on Cape Cod. Thanks.
Thanks, Holly. Very much appreciated. And thank you to the Yarmouth Chamber of Commerce. I see Mary Vilbon out there. Her efforts on a daily basis are very much appreciated. And I think another important person to have up here, Rick Bishop from the Friends of Bass River, I think is a complete embodiment of some of the community organizations and neighborhood association support that made this project a reality and made it happen, and that work every day to protect the environment here in Yarmouth. And I want to invite Rick up to have a few comments.
Thank you, Bob. Today is a great day for the town of Yarmouth. Again, I'm Rick Bishop, Executive Director for the Friends of Bass River. 5 years ago, with the help of the SNEP EPA, Mass DER, Yarmouth CPC, Dennis CPC, and Chris Flanagan's office, we began a Upper Bass River restoration project, and I think will go hand in hand with this project. The wastewater treatment project we are celebrating today is the single most important project affecting Bass River in my lifetime. It hurts me to say this. Over 60 years ago, I learned to swim at Windmill Beach, 1 mile from here on Bass River. I've seen firsthand the degradation of the river as a result of ever-increasing nitrogen levels in the waters. Today begins the reduction of these levels the river so desperately needs. I'd like to thank and congratulate Yarmouth voters, town officials, and volunteer wastewater committee members for your commitment, and it was a big commitment. I also applaud the town of Dennis for a similar effort to solve their wastewater challenges and to protect the 7.1 miles of Bass River that we all share. I look forward to seeing the river thrive, for all to enjoy it as I have. Thank you all.
Thank you, Rick. Very much appreciated all of your efforts. And I just want to say, too, on this project, as the town administrator, I consider myself a helper. I did not conceive of this project, nor am I solely responsible for it. But I want to get up here. Jeff Colby, our DPW director, who is the staff project lead on this, but more importantly, from our local standpoint, he's really our leader on the wastewater and all of our infrastructure efforts, and he's the leader of this project. And I take my direction from Jeff Colby, and I'll tell you, he will never let me down. And with that, I want to introduce Jeff Colby, our DPW director, and get him up here with some warm applause.
Great, thank you, Bob. Hang in there, we're almost done. I'm Jeff Colby, our Public Works Director, batting cleanup today because I need to recognize a lot of individuals. I apologize in advance if I miss anyone. We have a huge project team, construction team, design team, and I want to recognize many of them today. I also want to say, because the people I'm going to be recognizing in many cases are engineers, Happy Pi Day. And if you don't know what that is, it's March 14th, 3.14. So there's been a bunch of concrete and brick jokes, so I had to throw something in there. This is phase one, as you've heard. We have an 8-phase program. That's a very large program, but we're excited to get going on phase one today. Because of the large size of the program, just to talk a little bit about the project generally, we had to break that into 6 construction contracts. Just that's how large this effort is for the town of Yarmouth. The first contract being our water resource recovery facility. That's the treatment facility at 99 Buck Island Road. Contract 2 is a small section of Route 28, as well as South Shore Drive, where you are here today. Contract 3 is the collection system along Route 28 and Old Main Street. Contract 4 is a small section along Route 28 in the North Main Street Bass River Bridge area. Contract 5 is for Route 28 from the Parkers River Bridge to Higgins Kroll Road. And contract 6 is from Higgins Kroll Road on Route 28 all the way to the Barnstable Town line. This will connect major sections of our business community. So I want to recognize Mary Vilbon as well as Paul Neswicki as important business community partners, and many of the representatives from our business community that are here today as well. Thank you for coming. So there's going to be important aspects of that project. So that's the elements of the project. The project team, which we have a very long list here, so bear with me. But our project manager is Wright Pierce. We have Lou Ragazzino, Mike Giggy, and Christine Kurtz are primary components of that team, but there's many people behind the scenes doing work on our project. Our design team is CDM Smith. We've got Dave Young, Carolyn Heisen, Mike Judici, Matt Pitta, Tom Casey, and many others from CDM Smith who's helped us with designing and being alongside of us as a partner in this. A new partner we have is Horsley Witten, has come alongside us to deal with some of the wetland challenges that we have with our groundwater discharge permit. Many town staff that are key elements of this project, from Bob Rittenauer, who you heard from earlier, Bill Scott, Jennifer Mullen, our finance director, Andy Machado, and Tara Monroe from our assessing team. Lori Rizala is our wastewater superintendent. Thank you very much for all of your efforts. Amanda Lima as our town engineer. And of course, none of this would be possible today without Paul Chaffee and Lori Sullivan providing the sound system and this podium right here. So thank you very much. With that said, we also need to recognize our DEP partners, Gerard Martin and his team, and they've been very helpful in working through some of our issues. We have Contract 2. I talked about the breaking up of the contracts earlier. Contract 2 is Robert Auer. We've got Abby Auer and Mike Donovan. Thank you for partnering with us on that contract. We've got Contract 3, which is the stretch we're in right here with Rivoli Construction. We've got Sharkey, Alfredo, and Paul Bunker. Thank you for being here and providing us that pile of dirt across the street, which we'll get to put some shovels in here momentarily. So thank you very much. And as I mentioned before, there's 6 contracts. So there's potentially 4 other contractors that are still out there that are to be determined, but are going to be part of our team. And we really want to thank the residents and taxpayers of Yarmouth. And please be patient as this project starts and kicks off, as we have construction happening in the roadways, as well as the pump stations and the treatment facility. So thank you very much. And hopefully you'll join us shortly across the street. Bob, I know you have some closing remarks, but we're excited to have some pictures taken with the shovels and hard hats across the street and actually doing the groundbreaking. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff. Good job. And we really can't highlight enough Jeff Colby's efforts. And I'd like to just have another round of applause for Jeff Colby, who is truly our community leader when it comes to all of the infrastructure. And that's what we're all about right now. And listen, I don't mind ending it here. I think, as Jeff indicated, we've got another 6 groundbreakings over the next couple of months. And we'll make sure that we have them in the same place. Folks, I want to let you know, first and foremost, we've got Skipper's Charter House in the house, one of the finest dining establishments on Cape Cod, and there's some lovely refreshments. They're here for you to partake in, and we want to recognize Wright Pierce is trying to pay for them, but we're fighting over that right now. But thank you, Wright Pierce, for that, and thank you, Skipper's Charter House. Make sure you get a hot cup of coffee. That is the conclusion of our speaking portion of the day. What we're going to do now is move over, as you can see, directly across the street at the site of the large excavator. That is the site of our first major pump station, and we're going to invite our dignitaries to travel across the street, don hard hats, and we're going to take pictures of them turning our first spade of dirt on the Yarmouth Wastewater Project. So again, thank you folks for coming out. Have some refreshments. Come help us take some pictures, and we'll give you a chance with the shovel. And to the taxpayers and residents, voters of the town of Yarmouth, thank you. Thank you very much, and good morning.